Hello, welcome to Sandy Ainley. I hope each one of you are well. Today I so wish to speak on the subject of the late Julia Child and the latest news that I've received on the subject of the royal family. So, in order of what I've said, my book Dearie, which is a book on the subject of the late Julia Child, I think by Bob Spitz. Julia Child was a French cook who came from America, and excuse my hair, it's not quite as I like it. I'm really saying to myself, excuse myself, please, for myself, and I'm trying to have it so that it is full on this side where my hand is, and only about a third or a half full on the other side I just pointed at. Sorry, I had a very sore throat. I had to quickly drink and a bit more. Sorry, please, excuse me. Okay, back to Julia Child. I've been messing things up a bit, so I'll start right fresh, if I may. So Julia Child. Excuse me again, please. I'm not very well. I have a problem with my throat and voice, and singing voice as well. And I bought some throat lozenges today and some vitamin C, zinc, and I think vitamin, if I'm not mistaken, B. I need more energy, and I've bought some vitamins for that, and I'm drinking quite a bit of lemon and honey, and this is a standard coffee with a little bit of milk and tiny bit of sugar, so to speak. I'm trying not to raise my voice very much, and I've kept my door closed so that I don't have any more air from outdoors. I've been out today already, so that's fine. So please bear with me with my voice. I'll try and not strain my throat by going like I did before. That actually makes it worse, I don't mind having said. So going back to the late Julia Child, the lady at one point lived in Paris, very close to the Cordon Bleu cookery school, which the late Julia Child attended, and lived with Paul Child, who they had the most superb, supposedly, relationship. And Julia Child was part of Bottle Green, if you like, in the sense that the head of the Cordon Bleu school was clearly in a fantasy world when it came to Julia Child. And what I mean by this is that the lady was very like the green side of the one's character, and could see that Julia Child was, like each person in the world, special at birth, age, 1 minute old, they may be. And tried to ruin Julia's chances at the Cordon Bleu School. However, Julia stood up for Julia, and very much so for ladies and ladies' rights, and didn't give in to the headmistress, so to speak, and attended a class as the only lady in the class, and started right at the very bottom where Julia needed to be learning constant, each step, slow, 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 until Julia practiced so much, so to speak, that Julia landed up first in the class, above all, each and every gentleman in the class, and started to teach the gentlemen in the class. And there was an incident whereby Julia Child was cutting, I think, onions, and Paul Child came home and came up the stairs, and the strong sensation one receives from the onions disturbed poor Paul so much that I think Paul went down the stairs again, probably to go outside. But that was Julia who was practicing, because Julia did not know the manner in which to cut onions, so to speak, correctly in class, I think that very day. And so on the way home, I think Julia bought, I don't know how many onions, and practiced and practiced and practiced, and got so good at it that maybe bought 200 onions and just excelled at it. And that was the attitude of Julia in each element of her time at Cordon Bleu, and each recipe, etc. And so really, Julia was a disciplined lady. I did speak in a past vlog of mine on subject of discipline, and this is exactly what I meant. If one's disciplined, the results arrive. I was on the phone to a lady from Vision Express, the optician, I think yesterday. And the lady was saying, no, I'm sorry, I can't put you through to the gentleman. In fact, I think the name is possibly Paul. So whatever the name was, hopefully is, as I said. I did say to the lady, I said, do you know the saying, where there's a will, there's a way? And then about a minute later, my landline was ringing, and it was the gentleman I was asking for, phoning me. I said, where there's a will, there's a way. And Julia practiced and practiced, and was the best student in the gentleman's class, with the one lady Julia in it, in the class. Julia loved to eat out in Paris, something I love to do. And Julia had an obsession with France and Paris, as I do. And Julia enjoyed to spend time with Paul indoors and cooking for Paul and for Julia, and Paul would arrive back home, and after Paul's day, and say, "What's for dinner?" And it became just a done thing. "What's for dinner?" And Julia would cook recipe after recipe after recipe. One recipe Julia cooked was beef bourguignon, or bœuf bourguignon, which some of you may know is a meat dish, which is a bit like a stew, really, in my opinion of a stew. I think with onions. I love it. However, it's a rich dish. And Julia had it in Julia's book. In fact, I bought, I think, 3 books inside a box online. The Art of French Cooking, I think, something to that effect, is the name on the books. This is just something completely different. This is on subject of Julia life. This is on subject of Julia's cooking. The 3 books I'm speaking on subject of. Excuse me, please, sorry. And the 3 books did very well. And Julia excelled to such a degree that the lady was given a television program purely with Julia Child cooking. So the obsession that Julia had with France continued. And the reason they were in Paris was that Paul had a job in that area. And please excuse my ignorance, I'm not quite sure what Paul did as a profession. However, I know one point, it involved quite a bit of travelling and moving address. And there came a point when Paul received a job elsewhere, I think in America. So reluctantly, Julia moved to America with Paul, and slowly but surely got used to America more and more, as one does. And around the time of, or times of Paris, Julia met, I think, 2 ladies, 2 French ladies, I think. And they started to work together to have their own school for cookery. And the school began to take place, so to speak. And then there was news of Paul's job moving to a different address when Julia and Paul moved to America. However, I think it was correct, that's all accurate. And then Julia continued to, I think the wording is liaise with the 2 ladies. I think at this point it was just one lady. So there was Julia and one other lady corresponding with each other, keeping going the study of cookery. And eventually it became very successful, the work that Julia was doing with this other lady. And it turned into the 3 books that I've got. Pretty sure that's all correct. Forgive me if I'm incorrect, please. I think I'm correct. If anybody knows something I don't know, please comment below. I'd love to learn. So just to give you an idea of the life of Julia Child, now on to Harry. Well, Prince Charles has a vicious side, in my opinion. I do wish to say that to a degree I sympathise with Harry. I also see the side of Charles. It's just that Harry I feel sorry for Harry to a degree. The reason being that what I think Harry really wants is to be loved by Charles. And what Charles has done now is snapped. By taking away poor Harry's place of residence in London or Great Britain. Now, it's hard to say when one's not Charles and what I would do personally. In the defence of Charles, Harry has made a total exhibition of the royal family. And I did say, I think, in a past vlog of mine, that people don't like complainers. And Harry and Meghan have done nothing but complain. And Charles has snapped back by doing that action I said earlier in this video. I sense that Harry is suffering a lot now. Equally so, Harry has done so well with the book, money-wise, that Harry is probably suffering up to a point. Harry continues to be very privileged. However, one does not know what takes place inside one person's skin, one person external to oneself's skin. And it's not for me to assume what Harry feels and thinks. What I can do, however, is say that Charles is a cold person. I think they're alike, Charles and Harry. They both tend to bite as opposed to talk to each other one-to-one in an adult fashion. And it's spiralling totally out of control. And people are getting probably very hurt, probably feeling very damaged, possibly embarrassed by the situation. Hello, Oreo, darling. Hello, darling. And I just think that it's just sad and potty, crazy. And I mean, equally so, I mean, in Charles' defence. Hello, baby. Want to come? In Charles' defence, Harry has lost the trust of Charles in the sense that any conversation might be made into a book again. any conversation between Charles and Harry. Charles isn't to know whether it shall go into another book. The conversation should go into another book between Charles and Harry. It should be going into another book. So I do understand Charles also. I wouldn't trust my son if my son wrote a book on the subject of me and all the negative elements of me. I mean, I said to a friend of mine earlier today, why didn't Harry write a book on the subject of all the positive elements of the royal family? Anybody who is a fool can focus just on the negative. I have negatives in my family, but I don't choose to complain. I just accept each person in my family with love and grace and focus on what my family are. And on that positive note, I bid each one of you a very loving goodbye. Please take care of yourself. Please take care of each other. And please be grateful for what you have in life. Lots of love. Bye-bye.